Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the Golden Sombrero Show. I'm Dominic Stern, joined by Ryan Blank and Cole Bradley. We're here to talk about the latest news in baseball. Unfortunately, there really is. There's not that much news.
There's some bad news.
There is some really bad news, yes. Obviously, there is the continuing or not continuing labor talks, and then there's also a drug issue involving. Mostly the Los Angeles Angels. There's obviously some other storylines that we can talk about. And there's one that we're going to rank our top 15 starting pitchers.
That's good.
Yes, that is good.
That's a glaring positive.
But guys, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. A little tired, but doing all right.
You know, I'm the trinity of stressed, tired, and what was the last one I had in my head? Just stressed and tired. I'm too tired to think of another one.
There you go. You have it from resident tired, Ryan.
Yep, that's me.
So, labor talks, there hasn't really been any there still hasn't been much progress made.
No.
The owners, they did make a proposal on Thursday last week, but the players left very upset.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to meet on Thursday once again. For some reason, these two sides are taking a week in between the two talks to make any progress. It's not really a labor discussion. It's a stalemate is what it is. There's really the only word we can say.
There's nothing. There's honestly, in my opinion, if anything that this last week has proven is that there's actually been more of a regression. It feels like than more of a progress made. The MLB proposed. I'm really upset about this, by the way. I'm sure a lot of other people are, including you guys as well. The MLB proposed cutting minor league programs down to 150 from 180 as like the max. There's very few organizations. I think there's like 2 teams in baseball that have like around 150 guys in their organization. The rest have either 180 or more. And minor league programs cut down, or teams cut down, just overall organizations cut down to 150. They're also not planning on paying these guys as they're being required to show up for some kind of spring training. It's just a mess. I think that's a huge problem, major red flag. Like, as if the owners' popularity wasn't already in the toilet. It's flushed now.
Yeah.
So good job there, guys. Appreciate you guys saying, quote unquote, you want to grow the game. Well, that doesn't happen if you don't have a future and a foundation. Guys who are playing for nothing but the love of the game. Guys who are living off of their friends' couches, who have part-time jobs outside of playing baseball, who have mental health issues on top of all this, are having to deal with all these problems at the same. Like, it's already so bad for these guys, and you want to make it worse. I just have a major problem with that. That doesn't sit well with me. I think it's also, again, it's super petty that they don't want to meet within the next week. They want to take a week. There just feels like there's no sense of urgency right now. It's almost as if they're accepting the fact that we're going to miss games. Now, again, I, like everyone else, I'm trying to remain optimistic. I would hope that at some point we're going to get this thing going, but right now it's not giving off that vibration. So I'm not really appreciating that. I feel for the players, particularly minor league players, who are just basically being told, we're going to pay you pennies on the dollar. We're going to have you go out to spring training and not even pay you then. We're planning on getting rid of more of you guys after we gutted minor league programs in 2020. It's just a mess, man. There's nothing else you can say about it. That was really upsetting to see personally.
I'm just going to say it this way. There's got to be a point when the owners just got to come together and get rid of Rob Manfred. I am so tired of this man. He is trying to actively kill baseball. And to go off of, Cole, your argument about
Mhm.
how they want to get under 150 minor league players per organization, currently there are only 2 teams under 150.
Yeah.
There are also 5 teams above 180, which is right around the average that they're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to pull something up, and it's from Dayton Moore, who is now the president for the Royals after he was GM for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he said in 2020. It's a long quote, so bear me here. Understand this: the minor league players, the players you'll never know about, the players that never get off rookie ball or high A, those players have as much impact on the growth of our game as 10-year or 15-year veteran players.
Mm-hmm.
They have as much opportunity to influence the growth of our game as those individuals who played for a long time, because those individuals go back to their communities to teach the game, work in academics, are JUCO coaches, college coaches, scouts, and coaches in pro baseball. They're growing the game constantly because they are so passionate about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and this came out after the Royals said they were not going to cut any minor leaguers after the pandemic.
Which
During
good.
the pandemic.
Yeah,
So,
which good for them. That was huge.
yeah. So here is his ending sentence from his quote. So we felt it was really, really important not to release one minor leaguer during this time, a time we needed to stand behind them. And
Good for Dayton Moore.
And this is why Dayton Moore is probably one of the most liked executives out of a lot of organizations, is because he stands for the players and those that don't really have a voice. And throughout these negotiations, the players have wanted to get more money and get more to those players in the minor leagues. And yet the MLB wants to cut the amount of players.
No, it's an embarrassment.
It is an
what
embarrassment,
is,
and it
yeah.
is truly ridiculous that
It's
they would
just
think
sad.
about that.
It's just sad.
They are truly trying to kill baseball and kill the growth of the game that is slowly dying.
Well, and the problem is that the owners are treating this like investment, which it is. I mean, putting a baseball team, it's an investment.
100%.
I mean, that's what it is. But
Yeah.
they're treating it like it's a short-term investment instead of thinking in the long term and trying to discredit the popularity of baseball and trying to say, all right, I could save a couple $1 million if we remove 50 minor league or 30 minor leaguers that I'm already not paying that much as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame. And the truth is that a lot of these minor leaguers don't make it to the major leagues. But that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Still got to make a living.
Right. So the owners, they've made some progress this offseason before these labor disagreements,
Mm-hmm.
Providing housing for some of the players, saying that contracts will get a little bit more money. There was some progress in it. You kind of felt like, all right, maybe this is going in the right direction. But then this comes out this past week, and
Yeah.
it was very upsetting. But yeah.
Felt like a huge step back for me, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like I said, some of these guys, the guys that they would be cutting, they weren't going to make it to the major leagues. And they're not cutting the 16, the 17-year-olds that are just signed out of wherever, the 18-year-olds that are drafted. It's the 24, 25-year-olds that are still they're still trying to get up there. Those are the guys that Major League Baseball is trying to push out, and it's not cool. It's lame. It's an embarrassment.
It is.
And I mean, the owners just keep finding ways to put more spotlight on the negative side of baseball. I don't know why they keep doing that. And Ryan, you mentioned the owners and getting rid of Manfred. The owners like Manfred. He's doing a good job of trying to save them some money.
I know, but
at the end of the day, that's not what it should be about.
yeah.
His job should be to maximize their money, not shorten their debt or whatever. So it's obviously upsetting.
I think that's just a rant from me because you guys know.
No, I mean, you're right.
I am very vocal about my opinion of Rob Manfred, and that's just a rant because that man is ruining baseball, and it is killing not me, but also you guys and millions of other people that love the sport. So,
yeah, I mean, everything that sort of needs to be said has been said. It's destroying livelihoods. Above all else. And it's just disappointing to see that, regardless what side you're on. I mean, I don't know how owners can really sit there and say, oh, I'm going to save a couple extra $1 million if I cut 30 jobs. Those 30 guys, who knows, could have been the next, Mike Trout or some really, really talented player. You just didn't realize it yet. That part doesn't even necessarily matter. What matters more is those 30 guys now who probably have families, they have kids, they got to put food on the table. They now have to go, get their stuff together and figure out, well, crap, where's my next paycheck going to come from?
Yeah.
Getting fired from whatever job, getting told, hey, you're done, we're shutting you out, is never easy. No one should ever have to go through that theoretically, but everybody says, oh, that's business. I've used that in quotations because it's like that's just such a token statement.
Yeah.
But that's just the sad reality is these guys have lives. Like, it's a business, but it's a business of people. It's not like we're dealing fax machines here. It means something. So it's just disappointing.
Yeah, hopefully we have a more positive labor update for you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.
They are meeting tomorrow, so hopefully that can get something going. Who knows? But like you guys said, what happened in the last meeting really was a step back.
Because players and catchers were supposed to report yesterday.
Yep.
And obviously that was sad for us here.
I believe tomorrow or later this week was supposed to be the first day of full team workouts.
Yeah, I think it's on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I think that starts.
But games are supposed to start 10 days from now on
God,
today's 16th, going to be the 26th. So
God, that sucks.
That's obviously in major jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
they've how it is.
Delayed
Exactly.
it. So.
But hopefully some progress can be made. Hopefully the two sides come to the table and say, all right, we're willing to make a sacrifice if you make a sacrifice too.
Compromise, man.
Yep, compromised.
Compromise.
Still saying on the negative side, the death of Tyler Skaggs in 2019 still looming. His case, his death is in court, and 4 Angels teammates came to the testimony and said that they too had been given opioids, oxycodone, some other drugs by the Angels organization, and it's just not a good look. That's what it is.
Oh, horrible. One
of the players is former All-Star and World Series pitcher Matt Harvey,
Yep.
who admitted to using cocaine. He admitted to giving players drugs, which puts him at risk for a suspension if, of course, he does get back to the MLB, which
I do have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't he granted immunity?
But I mean, he broke. Yes,
yeah.
but like
Harvey was granted immunity.
Okay.
But
he's still susceptible to suspension for giving out drugs.
He's granted.
Okay.
He's granted immunity from federal law. That doesn't.
I also thought the MLB granted him immunity. I don't know why I thought that.
No.
My bad. But okay, thank you for that clarification.
And there's been photos and videos of Matt Harvey bleeding out of his nose during starts, and everyone's saying, okay, well, like now we kind of realize what this is coming from. And the players were explaining why they were doing this, and they were saying, well, it helps them cope with the injuries and like help them fight through it because they were afraid of going on the injured list, not recovering, having to go back down to the minor leagues if they continue to struggle. So it just kind of feels like a bad cycle of things. And it's a really bad look for baseball because we know this probably isn't just an Angels problem.
No, it's definitely not.
We can't confirm that. I mean, we can assume that the Mets were involved with this because the Mets have had drug problems well in the past.
Yeah.
Matt Harvey admitted to doing this stuff while he was on the Mets. The Mets have made it very clear that they were trying to help him. I'm not sure if that means anything or not, but it's definitely something. But definitely not good. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah. In short, it's horrible. I mean, drugs have a huge problem, especially in the U.S. for a very long time. They're a problem everywhere. But in baseball, it's something that probably has been glossed over time and time again. We didn't really learn about, Don Gooden and Darryl Strawberry's use of it back in, I think it was the 80s when they were on the Mets until pretty much well after the fact. And that was when drug use was like, I mean, it was common as smoking cigarettes back then. The game was much different back then. There were guys pitching on LSD back then. It was a completely different time. But now, in light of everything that has happened, and in light of all the health issues it's caused, and all the problems and negative repercussions it's entailed, guys have been held to a higher standard to treat their bodies in a better way, and all that's great, but that doesn't mean this problem has gone away. And the Tyler Skaggs thing was already very, very sad to begin with, but I was it became even more sad to find out that it was a clubhouse thing. It was not some accident. It was, and look, everyone has got their demons. Everyone deals with something, and above all else, we should mourn Tyler Skaggs and anyone who ends up dying because of these things more than we should bash them. But it's really hard to see that, because again, that's in the game we love. That's obviously a problem. Like you said, Dom, if not just with the Angels, then probably a good chunk of the league. We just don't really know. And Matt Harvey, I really got to say, as much as I used to really like this guy, I thought the energy he had, I thought, the take no crap kind of personality he had made him one of my favorite pitchers to watch in his heyday.
It sucks to hear about this.
Everything that has stemmed from him, being kind of, cocky and going and playing around at golf when he should have been in the dugout, and all the stories that happened when he was at the Mets, and all the turbulence he had with them, to his catastrophic fall off. And then now this, you hate to see that. I honestly, it's not on the same level because it's a completely different issue, but I'm almost as disappointed with him as I am with Trevor Bauer. These things are horrible. These guys are held to a standard that everyone else should be held to, rightfully so. And these things shouldn't happen. And it's unfortunate to see guys like Harvey, had a hand in this, to say the least. And if he's got his own problem, I hope he gets help before he's going to be sort of in the same boat. But it's horrible to see that, and it's horrible to hear even more just bad news on top of what was already tragic news about Tyler Skaggs. So.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the situation. I try to stay away from a few things, knowing some personal stuff with family members and friends with drug addicts and with addiction to drugs and stuff like that. So I kind of keep myself closed off from that due to personal stuff. But
Good for you.
I think that looking at this, you guys summarized it very well, looking at how when this type of stuff happens, you just hope it's an accident. You hope that there was really no foul play. But what Eric K did is, I can't even find the right word to describe it.
Infuriating.
It's infuriating. It's horrible. It's just downright atrocious what he did. Just prescribing drugs like that to players, and didn't even care about what the potential consequences and effects of them were. It's, as a young kid, we're always told, think before you act.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Understand the consequences of your actions. And yet, all of that goes out the window with this situation. And yes, the death of Tyler Skaggs is still as tragic as they come. But, like you said, Cole, people go through their own things. And a lot of people don't know about it. People tend to be closed off, be private with their own personal battles. And I can attest to that. I'm one of those people. But I think that in this situation, it is more important to not use something like drugs or alcohol to get you through it. I think that it's something where if you cannot go to someone who you are spending 160 plus days in a clubhouse with, that you trust to keep you healthy, and he's going to do something like this, that's just ridiculous. So that's all I'm really gonna. That's all I really understand, and all I'm like confident in really saying about the situation.
Yeah, it's hard to continue to follow on Twitter. I think it's TJ Rivera has been doing a lot of reporting from inside.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those tweets.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job. That's where I've been getting all the information. It seems like Eric K is not going to be in the public eye very much longer. It's just tough to read about, and it's a baseball problem. I mean,
Yeah,
tobacco has been around baseball for a long time, and that's a form of a drug.
correct.
Obviously, that's been forced out partially by baseball. It's not used to the extent that it was, but I mean, the reality is baseball is a slow sport, and you're very susceptible to injuries. And
Yeah.
some of these drugs, they help get you over the injuries, and the tobacco helps pass the time. I mean, that's what it is. If you guys have ever been on the field, like recently at a major league game, you can just look in the back pocket of a lot of players. Like they've got it. If you look closely to them in our field, they've got it.
If you also look at their lower lip,
yeah, in the
you
lip.
see all that stuff.
So Major League Baseball has to do a better job. We talked about this. Protect your players, protect your assets.
Yeah,
It's crazy that they don't do a better job of this, because this is where they get their money from, the players. And these organizations, they just don't care. They just view them as
Correct.
dollar signs when they should view them as people and dollar signs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you treat them well, like some organizations treat their players extremely well.
They do.
The Cleveland Guardians
There you go.
have a very good reputation of treating their players well. And there's a reason that they've come up and consistently develop players, and they trade them away, but that's their own problem.
Yeah, that's their own prerogative.
So if you continue to invest money, you're going to continue to help your players out, be better people, and hopefully even be better players. So that way they can help you make some more money. I mean, it's all about what you get in, you're going to get out.
And I think a huge part of this is greed. And I think that's one of the most dangerous things, is that once you see some money flowing in, the greed starts to take over, how you become so materialistic with the money and the things that you can get with it, instead of actually caring about your players and caring about being able to support them and keep them healthy. And I think that's another huge issue with not just baseball, but nearly every major sport.
Yeah, the players who have testified, among others, are Harvey, CJ Crone, who's on the Rockies now, Mike Morin, and Cambridge Rojan, amongst others.
Yeah, I might be trying to find an angle in on this at Cronkite Sports.
I might honestly
because
try and look into doing the same, just because of how big a story it is.
Yeah,
CJ Crone, I think
Mountain
like
Point.
we were told today,
Mountain Point. Yeah, that's because I brought it up in class, and our guy Chris Harris was like, "Oh, CJ Crone,
Chris Harris,
CJ Crone,
Yeah,
Mountain Point grad," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
regardless, this is the end of the day. I mean, it's a horrible situation.
It is.
And I hope Kay, gets the punishment he deserves,
He will.
because that's horrible. And I hope for guys like Harvey, they get help if they haven't already.
Yeah.
And they can move forward from this and hopefully, clean up their lives and focus on the importance of just life outside of baseball above all else, and just figure things out, because obviously it's super sad to see.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. That's gonna wrap up the bad stuff.
Good.
Let's get into our
Thank you.
starting pitcher rankings. This is our last positional rankings.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
Yikes.
we'll find other
more bad
ways-
news.
We'll find other ways to these guys. Like we'll do.
We could do an all-time ranking. We haven't done that before. I think that might.
Oh, that would be
That
awesome.
would be fun. But this is the last set of current positional rankings. So
All right.
let's get into it. We're doing our top 15 starting pitchers, but as always, I know Cole has honorable, or I'm assuming he's honorable mentions.
I do. I have a few.
I do too.
Okay, well, I mean, Cole's been the honorable.
Yeah, he's been
mention.
consistent with it, but this is one time I do.
Mr. Honorable Mention.
So Cole, lead
You
us
want me-
off.
You want me to lead off here? Let's go.
First pitch.
Yeah, there we go. guys who are not on my list, honorable mentions: Lucas Giolito,
Mhm.
Yu Darvish, Marcus Stroman, Kevin Gausman, amongst many, many others.
Okay.
My number 15 is Hyunjin Ryu, and
Uh-huh.
I flip flop between him and Giolito, and this past year was not the best for him. He definitely took a step back. He was a league average pitcher, but looking at the 2 previous years and what he's done, what he did in the shortened season with Toronto, and then what he did, obviously he's 2 years removed from that stellar season in LA where he finished second in Cy Young Award voting. Last 3 years, 418 and 2/3 innings. He's been really, really good. He has an ERA plus of 134. He's still very, very. I consider him maybe not like elite, but he's very much above average. And I think this was last year, he would definitely be in the top 15. This year, I think he's fringe, and I think he just edges out a few of the other guys. I'm not gonna say this past year didn't hurt him. It definitely did for me, but I still think this guy flies under the radar a bit. And I think going into next year, he's still going to definitely improve. Now, he's not the number one pitcher in that rotation anymore,
No.
by no means.
Yep.
There's another guy who we will probably talk about.
But given what he's done, not just this last year, but the last 3 years, it definitely warrants him being at least top 20. So I have him number 15.
There you go. Hyunjin Ryu did not make my list or honorable mentions, but I mean he's certainly up there because he did have a down year, but his years prior were pretty good.
Mhm.
Ryan, give us your honorable mentions, and then shout out your number 15.
Yeah, so my honorable mentions do include Hyunjin Ryu. Also, Zach Gallen. I still think he is a young and upcoming pitcher.
Love me some Milkman.
So I have
I
him
would
in there.
would not have considered him there, but
Yeah, I didn't either, but hey, I don't knock you for it.
I also have Shohei Ohtani and Jack Flaherty.
oh, I forgot to rank Shohei. Shoot.
It's I thought
Did
about
I
it. It
just
was
the
just so
rankings?
hard. My
Whoops.
number 15, Cole, you talk about a guy that flies under the radar, Freddie Peralta.
I like
He
that.
is overshadowed because of having 2 top 10 pitchers in that starting rotation with Woodruff and Burns.
Mhm.
He's overshadowed. In his first full season as a starter, goes 144 and a third innings, has an ERA plus of 152, a sub 1 whip, and a 2.81 ERA. First career all-star as well. So I think that this is a guy that you don't hear a lot of because of the guys ahead of him, but he is developed, and I'm excited to see what that trio can do for the Brewers the next few seasons.
The thing that makes him so valuable as well is he's kind of been a rubber arm ever since he's come into the league. He sort of came in, was a starter, got some innings out of the bullpen. Shortened season, he was more so out of the bullpen than he was a starter.
Yep.
And then this past year, he was 27 starts, but he had an appearance out of the bullpen. Like he's very, very versatile. He can give you a long relief. He can give you a spot start. He can go 5 innings. He can go 7. He can give you 3, whatever you need. Like he's a very versatile arm. That's what I like about him.
Yeah, I did not put Peralta in my top 15 just because he was a reliever and then he became a starter last year. Was a very good
That's fair.
starter. He's an honorable mention for me. I had Giolito at 15, but then I remembered that Shohei Ohtani's a pitcher. So Giolito got bumped out. He's an honorable mention. My other 2 honorable mentions are 2 pitchers who I definitely believe can be on this list next year with another strong year. Sandy Alcantara, who if you guys have on there, it'd be awesome. And Frankie Montas of
Wow.
the A's.
Don't have either of them on mine, but I considered Alcantara
I did too.
very convincing, but I like that, and I also like Montas, but he's not on mine.
I didn't have Montas, but I had Alcantara too.
Yeah, I mean, I
Definitely 2 guys that are up and coming.
I don't view them as top 15 guys, but yeah, they're up
No,
and coming. And
100%.
Alcantara is a stud.
Oh,
And I
he's
mean,
so good.
if these 2 guys played in bigger markets, I think they'd be more well known,
Yeah.
but they still get the nod here. My 15, Kevin Gausman,
Okay.
formerly of the San Francisco Giants, now Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, his last 2 years have been phenomenal.
Mhm.
He's received some Cy Young votes.
Mhm.
He did teeter off at the end this past season, which concerns me a little bit because he's never been a consistent starter
No.
who's stayed healthy or has pitched a lot of innings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, with the DH, we'll see if that plays into little things, but maybe that was him coming from a 60-game season into another healthy season, and he wasn't able to quite get that like 30 like fresh starts. But maybe he can this year if he's done a really good job this offseason. Either way, I got him at 15. And I'm going to go with 14 because Cole mentioned him in his honorable mentions as well. I put Marcus Stroman here at 14.
I don't hate that. I like that.
Height does not measure heart.
Yep.
I love Stroman. Pitches a contact. I mean, he's the numbers say he's due for a little bit of regression, but I mean, you can't argue with his numbers over the last several years.
Mhm.
He's been super dependable for the Mets. He's now going to be pitching in Chicago. It'll be interesting. He's a ground ball pitcher,
Yeah.
He
but
is.
there are some days where Wrigley Field turns into hell for pitching,
Oh
Yeah.
especially for guys that pitch to contact. If the wind's blowing out, it could be ugly. However, there are days where the wind could be blowing in, and that'll help him out a ton.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll also be interesting to see who fills out their infield because it's no longer Baez, who's been a good fielder, inconsistent, but a good
Mhm.
fielder at shortstop. They don't have Bryant at third base. It's going to be Patrick Wisdom. He was pretty solid defensively, but they got to play good defense behind him for
Yeah.
him to be good,
Right.
which is fine. That's the type of pitcher he is. But I put Stroman at 14.
I like
You know,
that.
another thing about Stroman that you guys know I'll always go back to is he's an elite fielder as well.
Yes, love
He
him.
is. Yeah, he fields his
He made a
position
really
very well.
bad error against the Padres. That was funny. He like
did.
kind of like Cadillac it and he threw it away, and Fernando
Yeah.
ended up on third on a ground ball to the pitcher.
Oh boy.
Little league type stuff right there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. You want me next?
yeah. Let's stick it with Cole.
Okay. So I have Tyler Glass now at 14.
Okay.
I honestly there was part of me where I was like, does he belong on here? Because just the sample size feels uncharacteristically small. He also hasn't necessarily been the healthiest as of late. But when this guy pitches, there's not many guys better. He is virtually unhittable when he is on his A game. He's probably one of the nastiest pitchers of our game today. And over 206 innings, again, small sample, over the last 3 years. He's made 37 starts in that span. He has an ERA plus of 148, 290 strikeouts. Obviously, he's big in that department, and he's just been phenomenal. And I think if he didn't get hit with the Tommy John in the middle of the year, I think he was on the way to probably winning Cy Young. Personally in the AL.
Yeah.
He was just so dang good, and I honestly think that he definitely deserves to be on here, at least for me. So I have him at 14.
Yeah, I opted to not put him in here just because he's probably not going to play this upcoming year given his Tommy John surgery. But
Yeah.
he's absolutely a top 15 starter, probably getting towards that top 10.
Mhm.
I mean, he's probably in there, but he's injured. He hasn't been able to sustain success,
Mhm.
and that's a problem when you're a pitcher and you can only go every 5 days.
Yeah, I debated not putting him in there, but I could not
But
deny.
you kept them. You kept them low.
I could not deny how good he's been when he's been out there.
Ryan, 14, and then give us your 13.
I
Too.
kind of have seen some trends with myself. The first two picks I've made with guys that have been bullpen guys now starters. My number 14 is Julio Urias, and I think that over the past 3 years he has been consistently good. I know 2019 2020 he was a guy that was mainly out of the bullpen, but still, I think that when you lead the National League in wins, also have a sub-3 ERA, a sub-1.1 WHIP, he's done it all, and he's been a consistent guy. And before the Dodgers got Scherzer and after losing Bauer, Urias was there to really pick up some slack and pitched very well. So, and I also think the future's bright for him to see what he can do as a starter. So I have Urias at 14. At 13, I have Glass now as well. And Cole, we talked about before the show, and we agreed that when he is healthy and he is pitching, he is dominant. He is terrific.
Mm-hmm.
He's not always healthy, and who knows if he's going to pitch again this year, but I still think that when he is healthy, he is definitely a top 15 pitcher in the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to not put Urias on here because I hate him.
I know you do.
I don't have him on here either.
But if he continues to pitch well as a starter, he's absolutely going to make his way on here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate him. So
I know you do.
I got to see him allow 4 runs before recording an out at Petco Park this
But
summer.
are there
though.
any Dodgers that you don't hate?
Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mookie.
I love Mookie.
I mean, I
Betts.
don't
love
hate
Mookie.
Kershaw. I hate that Kershaw
It's also
kills the Padres.
It's also hard to hate Trey Turner now.
Yeah.
I loved Trey Turner before.
That's fair.
I mean, honestly,
See, Trey Turner's an interesting spot for the Padres because we traded him,
Right.
and then he kills us.
Yeah.
But
So,
I mean,
Max
it's hard to
Scherzer
hate him.
too. I love pitchers above all else.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to be like a Walker Buehler fan. I love watching him pitch. I don't like, who he plays for or whatever. But I mean,
You see, I'm the same way. It's less of the player and more of the team that he's on.
right.
Yeah, I didn't hate Corey Seager. I definitely hated how good he was. But
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
but like Turner, Muncy,
Oh my god.
Taylor,
The undisputed
Will
public
Smith.
enemy number one.
Well, I mean, he looks too much like Sid for me
Yeah.
to like him.
He just looks,
I'm gonna say it.
You
But
say it at least once every couple of shows.
I don't like Bueller. I don't have anything against Kenley. He mostly goes out and does his work, and
Yeah.
I respect that.
Keeps his mouth shut.
Trinan,
Oh my God.
dude, I hate him. All
I
right,
like Kershaw. I like Scherzer.
Yeah.
They're the all-time greats. I can't not.
right. Anyways, Bueller's on my list, and I give him a respectable ranking this time. But Urias, no respect from me to him. I'll give my 13. We'll hand it off to Cole. I have Aaron Nola here.
Okay.
The analytics suggest that he got extremely unlucky last year, and he had several starts where he went 7, 8, or even 9 innings scoreless. Had some really good starts, and the years prior he'd been pretty solid. So I decided to throw him in here at number 13. I think that his curveball is one of the league's best, and he's got a pretty solid fastball to go along with it. Really good command of the strike zone. So Aaron Nola here at 13.
My 13, and I don't care if he hasn't pitched in 2 years, I'm putting Justin Verlander here.
Okay.
Because just given what he has been able to do, I was talking to Ryan a little bit about this before the show. Where it stands right now, the last time this guy pitched, he still held at least top 10 spot for me. Given how a lot of other guys have progressed over the last couple of years, he's been surpassed by a lot of guys. With that being said, I still think he falls in the top 15. If come to find out, his Tommy John surgery did not do him, does not bode well for the future for him, which I don't think it will. I think we'll see at least a little bit of regression. Yes, he slips out of the top 15, but I still think for now he's a top 15 pitcher. Anyway, I'll get into why. I mean, I think there's a short list of guys who, if at all, are better or just as good as Verlander in our generation. I think that's undeniable. In the last full season he pitched, he won the Cy Young. I just can't deny it. I think if he would have pitched 2020, he would have been great. I think if he would have pitched this last year, he probably would have, probably would have been good as well. The injury obviously hurt him a lot, but I'm excited to see him back on the mound again with the Astros. I think he still deserves all the credit in the world for being where he is, but I fully expect there to be some kind of regression moving forward. That's just natural, but I can't deny his greatness and where he stands currently, even if he hasn't pitched the last 2 years. I'm not gonna punish him for being hurt.
Yeah, Verlander's really hard to rank just because he hasn't pitched the last 2 years. I didn't put him on here. I probably should have given him an honorable mention, but I mean the ranking is certainly appropriate because, like you said, the last season he played, he won the Cy Young. He's one of the best pitchers of our generation. The Padres didn't draft him; instead, they drafted Matt Bush, who
there's a lot of things that they didn't do, and there's a lot of things they shouldn't have done.
Yes, Ryan.
As is a lot of organizations.
Yes, Ryan. We'll go to you at 12.
I saw. So I'll repeat it. These next two guys, 12 and 11 for me, are guys that have battled injuries and haven't pitched, if at all. Once pitched a little bit. But number 12 is Chris Sale. And there's no denying what Chris Sale has done in his career. There's a reason why I hate him is because of when he played on the White Sox and he killed the Royals. It's kind of like how you feel about Corey Seager, Dom. And what he has done has been fantastic. Last time he really pitched a full season was, I would argue, 2018, a 2.11 ERA. He had a string of, I believe, I'm not good at math, 7 straight years as a All-Star and 7 straight years of finishing top 6 in the Cy Young Award. What he has done when he is fully healthy is something that not a lot of left-handed pitchers, if any pitchers, do at all. When he is healthy, he is a top-tier guy. I'm excited to see what he does this upcoming season. Now that he's pitched a little bit coming off of Tommy John, you finally get to see what Chris Sale can do. And I expect to see a little bit of what we saw when he was in Chicago.
Yeah, he's another guy that I didn't put on my list, but I need to see him be healthy as a pitcher, see what he can actually do.
Yeah.
And I completely agree
it's,
with that.
It's hard to believe he's never won a Cy Young Award.
Yeah, he's almost like Nolan Ryan in that regard. Where
Yeah.
it's just really daunting to think that this guy has never won one, and he's probably of our generation at least a top 10 pitcher.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably top 5.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely up there.
Kershaw, Scherzer, Grom, Sale, Verlander, and that's probably the 5.
That feels right. That feels right for sure.
But Cole, who do you have at 12?
I also have Chris Sale, and for pretty much all the reasons that Ryan said, so I won't dwell on it too much. The one thing that just sticks out above me is he's always been an innings eater. He's always been a guy who's going to go out and probably at bare minimum get you 150 to close to 200 innings a year. And I can appreciate that. And obviously he wasn't healthy, in 2020, came back midway through 2021, had his impact towards the end of the regular season, was very, very solid for the Red Sox, had a bad postseason. I still don't think it's enough for me to keep him off this list. It's sort of the same thing with Verlander. I'm not going to punish a guy who's necessarily been injured. He's still very, very much one of the better guys in our league. I don't think he's going to be. I think it's all kind of downhill for him from here personally. He's hit 32. He's probably going to turn 33 soon. But I definitely think he is warranted a top 15 spot. So I have him at 12 as well.
Yeah, like I said, I just mentioned my thoughts on Sale. My number 12 pitcher, I got Shohei Ohtani here. Love some Shohei. Not many guys can throw 100 miles an hour, wicked slider, wicked splitter. He's just unfair. He can also hit. Obviously, the hitting part doesn't factor into this ranking, but Shohei is a goon. You guys got Shohei on your list?
Yeah, and
I do not.
I do. Until I'm just gonna say this, because I feel like there has to be in some way, we're not gonna do a DH list, and rightfully so. I don't really think there's much there.
No.
But he's much higher, and all I'll say is he deserves the recognition for doing what he's doing, because no one else in the history of this game, other than Babe Ruth, has done it at a high level.
No.
And that is in and of itself quite spectacular. So he is actually significantly higher on my list, not necessarily as I truly believe he fits there. You'll see, but he's higher, way higher.
All right, give us your 11.
I have Brandon Woodruff.
Okay.
I would have had him top 10. In fact, I did for a solid 30 seconds before I remembered that Lance Lynn is a human being.
Yeah.
And regardless, ever since this guy's broken into the league, Woodruff, he's been nothing but exceptional. We all remember, 2018, 2019 seasons where he kind of started to break on. 2019 was his big breakout year. Another innings eater, definitely, he feels like the ace of that Brewers rotation, but they also have Corbin Burns, and they've got Freddie Peralta, and they got Adrian Hauser. It's just such a loaded rotation. But him as just a standalone guy, he's just exceptional. 2.56 ERA this past year, ERA plus, respectively, from 2020 to 2021, 149 in 2020, 166 this past year. I mean, he's Cy Young caliber. He can swing the bat a little bit too. He won't be doing that, thank goodness, from here on out. Get him out of the batter's box, get him on the mound, get him what they're paid to do. doing what they're paid to do. And I mean, he's a big strikeout guy too. Obviously, he's definitely he's a dog. He goes out there and he pitches, and I love it. So he's definitely my number 11.
Ryan.
This is where I have Verlander. And it's for the same exact reason why Cole has him there. And what he has done, we all thought that when he was traded to the Astros, his career was done. And yet he still comes out and has 2 15-plus win seasons, wins a Cy Young. And I know it's crazy to think, but the body of his work is just so hard for me to not put up top 15. And I know he's not going to be the same pitcher when he comes back. There's no doubt about it. But if he is anywhere close to what he proved that he could do in 2019 and 2018, then man, the Astros are getting their ace back, and they're going to be just as good as they have been. So I have Verlander at 11.
Yeah, I already mentioned my thoughts on Verlander. I have 2021 AL Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray here at number 11. Love me some Robbie Ray. Cole and I, we discussed how Robbie Ray was due for a breakout year in 2020. Strictly didn't happen. He led the NL in walks, and he didn't pitch the last month of the year in the NL. That's forever going to be a golden sombrero nugget for all of you. But he bounced. He showed the stuff. We all knew it was there. He just kind of refined his command. He won the Cy Young. Shout out to Robbie Ray. Now a Seattle Mariner. That'll be fun to see.
Good to see him get paid. He deserved it.
And
I kept him off my list just because I need to see a little more, but the 2-year turnaround is undeniable.
Yeah. And he's also had some good years in the past. In 2017, he was really good as well. So I decided to give him a nod here. I'll turn around and give my number 11 because we're running a little short on time. I have Luis Castillo of the Cincinnati Reds. Another guy who the deep numbers say should have been a lot better this year. Struck out a lot of guys. He was kind of the workhorse for the Reds this past year. Sonny Gray going on the injured list. Trevor Bauer left in free agency. Some young guys in that rotation, but Castillo is always there. He's got one of the dirtier changeups in the league, and I look forward to seeing what he can continue to do in the future.
There you go. We're at 10?
Yep.
Okay. Lance Lynn is number 10 for me. I kind of hinted at it before. This guy's been, to say the least, he's kind of a rare breed nowadays. Not many guys like him are doing what he's doing anymore. Not only is he a bona fide innings eater, he had 84 innings in that shortened season. 84. That's kind of just mind-boggling to comprehend. In this past year, 157 innings. I don't think anyone is. I mean, I think if there is guys who have had more innings than him over the past few seasons, it's a very short list. Regardless, he's just been super effective. And the fact that he's able to do what he does, get a heavy amount of strikeouts, throwing primarily just different types of fastballs, 4-seam, 2-seam, a little bit of cutter, a little sinker. The fact that he's able to make do with just that and try and pitch to contact, pound the strike zone, doesn't walk too many guys, and he's effective with it, like that's just very rare. You don't see guys who are doing that a whole lot. Now they're relying a lot more on movement stuff. He's just going after guys. And I like that about him. I think that's part of the reason why he's top 10, because he proves that you don't got to dance around the zone to get outs. You don't got to dance around the zone to beat guys. And he has the stuff to beat guys in the zone. And I'm sure a lot of other guys do as well, but he's definitely top 10.
Pitching ninja legend too.
Oh yeah. He's a top 5 personality, but top 10 pitcher.
Ryan, who you got?
Unmuted. So, number 10, sticking with the theme of someone's body of work, I have Clayton Kershaw at 10. And I know he's been struck with injuries in recent years, but man, he is still so dominant when he's on the mound. I don't know what else I can tell you. The guy's a 3-time Cy Young. He's won an MVP. He's a World Series champion. He's won a Gold Glove. What else do you want from this man? It's ridiculous. He's also a 5-time ERA champ. It's ridiculous what he has done in his career. And, yeah, he only pitched, I believe it was around 120 innings last year because he suffered from injuries. But still, in that time, he was an above-average pitcher. So no matter what you see from Clayton Kershaw, he is still a great pitcher and someone that any team would be lucky to get once free agency opens once again with the lockout ending. So, with what his body of work is, what his career has been like, I got to give Clayton Kershaw the nod.
If he's anywhere but the Dodgers, it's going to be really, really weird.
I don't see it happening. But
I don't
it would
see it
be
happening either,
so weird.
But that's going to be that's like Tom Brady retiring level weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just had the worst year of his career, and it was still sub-4 ERA.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, Ryan, who's your number 9?
Cole just mentioned him. I'm going with Lance Lynn. And I battled with this one on a couple of guys where I could switch, and then I made that switch to put him in the top 10. Despite a couple of injuries he had this past season, the man's durable. And he is someone that's going to eat up a lot of innings, like Cole said, and someone that's going to get a lot of outs. And he wherever he has been, whether it's been Texas or with the White Sox in recent years, he has been good. He has been a top-level pitcher, and the durability, the consistency has been there, and that's why I think he deserves to be a top 10 pitcher.
I have Lance Lynn at my number 8 spot, but at my number 9 spot, I have another guy that Cole's already mentioned, Brandon Woodruff.
There you
go. These two guys have high-powered fastballs. They may not reach 100, but they got the good spin rate. Then Lance Lynn's also got the sinker. Woodruff's got the curveball. Lynn's got the cutter. These guys, they're a lot of fun to watch. A lot of passion on the mound. Big, burly guys.
On the strike zone.
Yeah.
On the strike zone.
They're a lot of fun to watch. Cole, who's your number 9?
I have Kershaw here, and for the sake of time, it's for every reason that Ryan said and more.
Yeah, he's a stud. Ryan, who you got at 8?
At 8, this is where I have Woodruff. You guys have said it all about him. Powerful fastball. He's got some good off speed. And each year that he has been in the league, he has gotten better and better and been a consistently one of the aces for that Brewers staff.
Yeah, and at my 8, I have Clayton Kershaw. So my number 7, it's going to be Walker Buehler. He's been a stud. I still don't think he's gotten up quite into that elite pitcher tier. He's been right on the verge for a long time. He's probably the ace of the Dodgers at this point, especially now that Jeter's gone. Thank the Lord. But Buehler, he's very consistent, and he's even better in the postseason. So, got to give him the nod. I got him here at 7.
We're at 8.
7.
Oh, are you sure? Okay. Well, I didn't give my number 8.
Oh.
So I'll give my number 8. I don't really want to gloss over it too much, but I have Shane Bieber here. This feels really weird putting him outside the top 5, but I'm in the same boat. I have the same argument like you had with Walker Buehler. I don't think he's elite quite yet. I think, he had a really good year. This past year got hurt a little bit, had a really good 2019. Obviously, the historic 2020 was phenomenal. But I need to see a little more. With that being said, he's top 10, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. Do you want me to give my 7 as well?
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler. Kind of hard for the last 3 or so years. This guy has been actually really, really good. I thought when the Phillies signed this dude in the offseason, I think it was between 2019 and 2020, that they were out of their minds. And he's quietly been not only Cy Young caliber, but he's been arguably top 5 in the league over these last 3 seasons. He has a 1.28 ERA plus. That's not as exceptional as some of the other guys on this list, but 479 2/3 under his belt, 495 Ks. He hasn't really given up too many long balls. Hasn't walked too many guys. He's been really good. He's number 7.
My number 7 is Shane Bieber. And it feels weird, like you said, Cole, to be having him outside the top 5, but was injured last year. But he's also a guy that's going to strike out a lot of hitters. And there's a reason why he's a Cy Young Award winner. He's easily a top-tier pitcher and consistently eats up a lot of innings, goes deep into games, which is a huge relief for that Cleveland bullpen. So I have him at 7.
There you go.
Who you got at 6?
Me? I
Yeah.
had Zach Wheeler at 6, which I know is weird, but I think that when you're looking at all of the guys ahead of him, there's a reason for it. Zach Wheeler has continued to be the workhorse along with Nola in that rotation, and they've needed to be those guys to take advantage of their opportunities on the mound to get wins because of how poor the rest of the rotation has been and how bad the bullpen has been for Philadelphia. So that's why I have Zach Wheeler up there. He's consistently been that guy who has led the pitching staff.
And my 6 is going to be Corbin Burns, just won the NL Cy Young Award. It's his second year as a starter, and his innings, he doesn't pitch a lot of innings, however, really quality innings here. I got him at 6. My number 5, Shane Bieber. He won the Triple Crown. Obviously, he's just an incredible pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Dealt with some injuries this past year. That's why he dropped a little bit. But back half of 2019, he was one of the best pitchers. 2020, he was the best. It wasn't close.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you had a healthy season, we'll never know. Rapid fire. Cole, give us your top 4.
Okay, well, I have number 6 for me is Corbin Burns. Number 5, I have Ohtani, and I put him this high because he's a top 5 player in baseball, and the fact that we couldn't do a list where we included him, and he only fit really on the starting pitchers, I had to put him top 5 somewhere, so he's top 5.
Go for it.
Walker Buehler's 4, Scherzer 3, Cole 2, DeGrom 1.
All right, for me, my top 5 go 5 Buehler, 4 Cole, 3 Burns, 2 Scherzer, 1 DeGrom.
All right. And then, so for me, you guys kept Wheeler outside of your top 5. I decided to put him in my top 5.
Which is completely respectable.
Yeah.
Volume
Completely.
and the quality of work stood out to me.
Yeah.
I have Cole at 3 and Scherzer at 2. Completely having Cole above him.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that one of those guys has to be the 3rd best pitcher in their city. And then DeGrom at 1. I mean, it's undisputable at this point.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I mean, starting pitchers. I mean, we were all pitchers in high
Yeah.
school. So that's obviously a fun position for us to rank.
Definitely.
Kind of like with the outfielders or with relievers, it could be a Tuesday and you could throw,
Yeah.
insert name here in your top.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Golden Sombrero Show. Thank you all for tuning in. We know tough times of the lockout. Obviously, there's a lot of tough baseball news in the last 48 hours.
Hang in there.
Given the Angel situation, if you know anyone doing drugs, tell them to stop. They're bad. Drugs are bad.
So insightful from Dominic Stern.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning into the Golden Sombrero Show. On behalf of Ryan Blank and Cole Bradley, I'm Dominic Stern. We'll catch you next Wednesday with hopefully a good baseball labor update.
I was going to go easy on you, not to hurt your feelings.